Hey everyone, how you doing? I'm here to talk to you about this awesome Twisting Blades build. It is super fun, super fast, and definitely kicks a lot of ass. So first I'm going to start with the skill tree. We have our puncture, enhanced puncture, fundamental puncture, and then we go into Twisting Blades, which is maxed out, enhanced Twisting Blades, and improved Twisting Blades. We have sturdy maxed out, 1 point shadow step, followed by enhanced shadow step and disciplined shadow step. We have weapon mastery maxed out. We have concussive maxed out with 2 points into rapid gambits and 1 point into trick attacks, 1 point in dash, enhanced dash, and disciplined dash. We have maxed out exploit and malice. We have 1 point into shadow crash and 2 points into consuming shadows. We have maxed out shadow imbuement with enhanced shadow imbuement and mixed shadow imbuement, 1 point into cold imbuement, enhanced cold imbuement, and mixed cold imbuement, and then maxed out frigid finesse and precision imbuement also maxed. And then the last one, we have 1 point in adrenaline rush and maxed out haste, and our key passive is momentum. Now for the Paragon board. I won't be going over every single node, but I'll mention each glyphs, and these are easy to screenshot so you can follow along and copy them yourselves. So the first glyph is closer on the starting board. For the second board, we're using exploit weakness, and our glyph is combat. On our third board, we're using cheap shot, and the glyph we have here is diminish. And on our fourth board, we're using tricks of the trade, and the glyph that we have in is turf. And on our last board, we're using no witnesses, and the glyph in here is exploit. And for our specializations, we're using inner sight. And now for our gear. So our helmet is total armor, max life, ranks to shadow imbuement, and cooldown reduction, and we're using the legendary aspect of might. And for our chest piece, we're using the legendary aspect stolen vigor. And we have lots of damage reduction, close enemies, distant enemies, just regular and max life. Our gloves are rockin' edge masters. And they got crit strike chance, plus skills to twisting blades, dexterity, and attack speed. Our pants are rockin' cheats. We got damage reduction, dexterity, total armor, and max life. Our boots are penitent greaves, so we know these. Our amulets rockin' a disobedience with energy cost reduction, movement speed, imbuement skill damage, and cooldown reduction. And we have a vicious heart every 5 seconds while above 60% life. Core skills cost 291 life instead of your primary resource. Skills that consume life deal 27% increased damage. We're rocking the Umbral on our first ring with critical strike chance, damage to close enemies, vulnerable damage, and max life. And in this one we have the Barber Wrathful Heart. And on our second ring we have the Ravenous legendary aspect with damage to close enemies, vulnerable damage, critical strike damage, and critical strike chance. And we're using the Brutal Heart that suppresses incoming damage, and you expel that damage with a defensive, subterfuge, or macabre move. Cool heart. And for our crossbow, we're using Blade Dancers, and this has damage to close enemies, critical strike damage, a lot of dexterity, and core skill damage. And for our first sword, we have Accelerating on it, and this has damage to chilled enemies, dexterity, critical strike damage, vulnerable damage. And for our second sword, we're using Ashira's unique dagger. All of our armor is socketed with topazes so that we have damage reduction while control impaired. And all of our weaponry has emeralds in it for critical strike damage to vulnerable enemies. So the rogue is like super fun, super fast paced. You're just dashing through enemies. It's really great because there's almost no energy loss there. There's always energy, especially the more monsters, and you're like barely losing life, always fully healing back up with the lifesteal. It's a little bit more of a technical build. I personally feel like other classes are slightly more easy in comparison for beginners, but it is still super fun, and you just get right up in there and just destroy everything. Rogues are currently the strongest class in the game, and with the Barber being fixed in the last patch on rogues, it just made them so much stronger. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know if you try out this build. Bye!